Hey, it's Oreste Alito here. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about how to stop selling competition after competition to your Pro-Am students and replace that instead with one single yearly agreement that pays you all year long. Here is what's happening to your business right now. Your Pro-Am students are some of the highest investing clients, competitions, lessons, coaching, costumes, thousands of dollars moving through your studio. And yet, the moment one competition gets canceled or one student pauses, 1 month goes sideways. Your income drops. And you're forced to start all over again. That's not a nice feeling. Unfortunately, it's not a student problem, it's a structure problem that we're going to fix in this episode within your business. The instructors who already have figured out they're not just working harder than you, they simply learned how to show to their student the full annual journey so that the student enrolls once, commits once, and stays all year. And that's exactly what I'm going to walk you through in today's episode. This very episode will change how you structure your Pro-Am business permanently. So let's give a look at how most Pro-Am business are actually structured. So the teacher is selling a competition, then another competition, then there is some coaching scheduled in between, obviously the private lesson. Everything is sold piece by piece, individually. So let's say the competition is approaching, like, I don't know, California Open or whatever, Empire. And you will maybe go to the student and say, do you want to dance that competition? And the student will say yes, or the student will say no. Some people just ask the student which competitions you want to do. And then basically you try to figure it out what will be the next one. And what happens most of the time is that conversation, even though is not actually a sales conversation, it feels like one. The student during that conversation has that feeling of, my teacher wants me to dance this or to do that. And that puts you into a very bad situation, because now the student starts seeing you as someone to somehow fight, something to somewhat resist. And the biggest problem is that it sounds like you need her to compete with you more than she needs you. And obviously the same applies if the teacher is the female and the student is the male. That's obviously not good, because at the end of the day, yes, obviously you want the business and you need the business. But at the end of the day, the client is your student, and she or he are getting the biggest benefit of it by dancing with a wonderful pro like yourself. Does that make sense? So you are not really running a system. You're running a series of transactions continuously. So there is always like, I have to commit for the lessons, I have to commit for the next competition, I have to commit to do a dress, I have to commit to the eyes of your student. Now they are constantly in front of some kind of decision or some kind of question to tell you yes or no, to commit or no. And guess what? That creates obviously inconsistency. It creates emotional selling. It creates pressure every time you offer something. And bottom point, the income becomes unpredictable, because when the student has all these many moments or options to say yes or no to something to you, then what happens? That some of them will have a negative answer. And so every time, the more options you provide, the more times you sell something, the more the likelihood to not be successful in that. And we will see that also this damages the students in a big way. And by the way, if this feels any familiar and you are trying to do something about it, but you're also tired of rebuilding your income every few months, I offer what I call a Dancepreneur breakthrough call for free, where we will look into your situation, into your structure. We'll try to identify how to stabilize, so that you can start actually growing. So you find the link below in the description. Feel free to book your free Dancepreneur breakthrough call. Now, the real problem, again, is not your students, is not even your market, is not even the pricing. The real problem is that your business has no container. What do I mean with that? Your business doesn't have that one thing that requires one commitment, and because of that single commitment, you get constant revenue into your business. When decisions are fragmented, the commitment is also fragmented. And that's what we try to avoid with this, what I'm going to teach you today. So we are going to try and group competitions and group the actions and the decisions that must be done for this client to experience a long-term journey. So the commitment is one, but the transaction and, of course, your money making is on a roll and it keeps going. So the instructor who scale with Pro-Am business, they think differently. So they don't sell events, they sell a journey to the student. Now, instead of asking to your student something like, do you want to do this competition, or what competition you want to do? The questions should be, what does your next 12 months look like in your dancing? So you see how that works. Even just asking it that way puts you in a position where you are a guide and you are interested in the journey that your student wants to take. You don't have to go and force anything to her or to him, but you need to ask, how's your next 12 months look like for you? What would you like to reach into this 12 months? What do you expect from ballroom dancing? And then that makes you in a very good position, because now you are genuinely interested, and now you put yourself in the situation to possibly help the student, because at this point the student will tell you something like, I want to improve consistently, or will tell you something, I really want to travel and experience the community of ballroom dancing, or I really want to make sure I get this national title or this world championship title, or whatever. The motivation can be vary, but now you have an answer from your client that tells you what she or he sees for himself or herself throughout 12 months of dancing. And now what you go and do, you link your annual agreement to their goal, and you find a way to make them commit to what they want. And now you are becoming a real guide, and now you are killing the opportunity to lose business. You are killing this opportunity, because unfortunately, even if people really want to dance, even if people really want to improve, life gets in the way. And therefore, if you make your student take a decision every single month for every single comp, what will happen is that themselves will start being inconsistent. Themselves will have some legit reason to slow down or give up or something. And as a teacher, you don't want to allow that, because you are responsible for their success. You are responsible for their for having a wonderful experience. And so you want to set up the conditions initially so that they can have a wonderful experience. And I will later show an example that happened to me last year, that this decision of going into annual agreement was so important. We'll get there very soon. Now, there is a principle in behavioral psychology that I mentioned many times in my show, and people commit more when they see a complete path. When they see the path and they see the steps that has to happen for them to get where they need to be, they are more willing to commit. Check yourself. Ask that to yourself when you buy something, when you see the ladder of steps to get you where you want to be, you are more likely to commit, because you see the steps and it feels that it might work. And this is just the way it is. And as business owners, as dancepreneurs, we need to make sure we understand this. And every time we offer something, we show a path. And this path, it has to be made together with the client, because it's the client that has a certain desire, it's the client that has to have a certain experience, and we have the experience and the knowledge and the wisdom to create a path for them that will bring them exactly what they want to be. When a student sees a clear roadmap, a defined journey, and a goal, they normally stop hesitating and they start to commit. Like, it's clarity that creates commitment. That's very important to remember. So an annual agreement changes everything. Let's break it down into a few points of how an annual agreement can change everything for you and for your student as well. So it stabilizes your income, because once they agree on an annual journey, then you can either make a one-time payment and get obviously a big deal of income, or you could fraction this yearly agreement in monthly statements, in monthly installments, sorry. And because of that, you will have a very consistent income every month. So it stabilizes your income. Second, it removes the constant selling. So it removes that feeling that you have to go and get your bread home every single month or every single competition. And it also deletes that bad feeling that the student feels when she or he feels that they're being sold something. So again, it removes that problem. It increases the student commitment because of what I said before. So when they see the journey, it's easier to commit. When you have to decide to commit on one next event, you could say, oh, I can do it or I cannot do it. It's not going to change much. But in the context of a big journey, then every decision is important. And lastly, it elevates your positioning, because now you are an advisor, you are an expert, you are an advisor, you are a guide, you are what you're supposed to be, a professional dance teacher that guides the students. So bottom line is, you stop chasing decisions and you start leading directions. That's really what's happening in here. And that's the shift you have to do in everything in your business. Don't chase decisions from other people, but lead direction. And that's what really is going to be a game change for whatever you do. And this is exactly what I personally help dance professionals implement inside the Dancepreneur method. So turning a reactive pro-am structure into a predictable, scalable system. So if you want help building this business, building this for your business, you can apply for a strategy session down below, the Dancepreneur Breakthrough Call. We can check directly into your situation and understand how we can stop having leaks of income and start establishing something that is predictable and scalable for your dance business. So click the link below, get your spot on a free call with me. Now, how to structure this? Mainly, we have to take care of 3 steps. Now, step number 1 would be define the annual vision. What's the vision for the year that is coming? Step number 2, you'll have to build the path to it. And step number 3, you will have to present the agreement. So you get these 3 steps in line, and now we're going to break them down and show you how to do it, so that everything makes extreme sense. Everything is extreme, polished, reasonable, and transparent. And the outcome of this conversation can only be gratitude towards you. It will never feel like it's a salesy thing. It will never feel like it's a way to get your own benefits. It's a way to do a good job as a pro teacher. It is a way to assist your client in a very human and responsible way. So let's go to step 1, define the annual vision. So you're going to speak with this client and you're going to ask, so what do you see happening in your our dance career as a pro-am this year and hear what the person has to say. This person will start say something about what they want, what they expect, and the answers often may surprise you. So pay attention, listen with your heart what that student wants. And people usually are ambitious, so they want to achieve something that is meaningful for them. In fact, you want to listen to what they want, and you want also to ask why that's important to them. So if they say to you like something like, I want to win the world championship, of course, that's amazing. And I'm sure that everybody would want that. But why that's important to you? Like, why is that an important thing? And she could say like, oh, I just like to be successful. I'm successful in everything I want. I want to be successful in here. Or I never won in my life and I want to make sure I win this time. Or when I was a child, I wanted to be a dancer. Now I cannot, and then I couldn't, but now I finally have my chance and I want to do it for real. Whatever this is, find out why they want what they want, so you get to really understand them, and eventually you understand better how to help them. So that's first part. Then second part is to build the path. Now, what do you need to do in general to achieve some good results? You need to have a consistent training. You need to have a consistent competition schedule so that you go out there and, you hit the floor, you get mileage and you practice. Obviously, you need to have your own lessons. You have to have your own coachings and stuff like that. But if we narrow this down to the competition, you might identify one or few highlights on that season. So, for instance, if we are here in the US, usually we have the big fours like Emerald, Embassy, USDC, and Ohio. Those are a little bit the four big events of the US. So it's common that people want to be successful on these four events. So you would say, okay, great. So let's get this four event going. Now, if that person has an ambitious goal, you might want to say, okay, so if we want to show up, let's say that Ohio is the very first comp, let's say, so do we want to go there just out of the blue, or you think we should be having some competition before so that we can get ready for that? And you check if that rings a bell. Most of the time, if a person is being ambitious, right, they obviously want to do some more. And so you say, okay, cool. So how long before Ohio we want to be on the floor? Do we want to be on the floor 1 week before Ohio or a few weeks before Ohio? And you figure it out and you check the calendar and you see where to go there. Cool. You're not even talking of commitment yet. You're just envisioning a journey, okay? Say, well, then what it is? There is Emerald Ball. Right, so what we do before Emerald Ball? Then there is Embassy Ball and USDC. They kind of close the year, Worlds and Nationals. What are we going to do before that, right? And all of a sudden, in the eyes of your client, in the mind of your client, they start seeing this, oh, okay, this is my goal, this is what I want, and this is what I should be doing to get there. And it starts feeling exciting because it's like, it's a real thing, it's a real journey. And then on step number 3, you have to present the agreement. Now, so you'll have to present the conditions of that. Now, that depends on many situations. And if you want, as I already said before, you can book your free Dancepreneur call and we can understand exactly how to pitch this to your clients. But let's assume that this is a client that has been doing Pro-Am with you already for quite some time. But she's been maybe a little bit on and off or stuff like that. You now, as a step 3 for presenting the agreement, you can say something like, look, I really want to help you getting where you want to be. I want to do this with you because I'm your partner, I'm your teacher, and I want to get there. I believe that to do that, we do need consistency. I danced for many years and I've never seen some people achieving results without consistency. So, you know how last year we have been doing how we did, comp by comp, and, we got what we got. This year, I would really suggest you to become more consistent, and I want to reward your consistency. So if you want to commit to the plan that we just created together, I am very willing to give you even a better deal on those competition to commit on that. And you can decide to group the competitions together. Let's say I make an example that you charge, let's say average $3,000 per competition, and this students wants to do 10 competition, right? They would be 30K, right? Let's say last year this same student did 6 competitions, because sometimes the student would take a break or something, not super consistent. Now you would say, look, what if we agree on this group of competitions and we go through this journey together from now until the end of the season? I'm going to break this down monthly across 10 or 12 months, however you like. I sometimes do 10 just for the math. And we're going to average your amount. Let's say instead of paying 30,000, you would pay 28. Make an example. We can look into that better later. And you would pay $2,800 a month for 10 months. How does that sound? And then you will do all the practical part that we can go again into it. If you book your Dancepreneur breakthrough call, I can give you the tools in terms of legal, of agreements and stuff like that to make that happen smoothly. But bottom point, what you do, you sell one time your agreement that make perfect sense for her and for him, whoever the student is, that helps the client to get to the destination that they want. They feel that you are going with them. They feel that you are taking the client by hand and we are going together where we are going, which it is the truth. And you set yourself for success. You set yourself and your student for success. You make the student commit to a higher amount of competition that was last year. And you are recognized as a guide, as an authority, and you make sure that all is clear. Now, what happens? Let's say that, life gets in the way and maybe a competition that was in the plan get canceled anyway. Maybe something happened. I will share soon the story that happened to me last year. And you will just replace that event with another event. So even if you have a cancellation from your student, that's not affecting your income anymore, because that person has committed to that year-long amount of events. And now when an event for some reason get canceled, you replace it with another event that can strategically even improve the situation, that plan. Okay, does that make sense? Now, last year, what happened to one of my students is that we did the annual agreement and it was going everything incredibly well. However, right before the end of the season, so right before the last couple of competition of that season, she had a big loss in her family. And unfortunately, she couldn't continue. Just simply, she wasn't in condition with emotionally, to finish that. So there was no problems at all, because what we did, there was 2 competitions that she missed out of that plan. And for the new year agreement that we did right after, as she recovered, as she was ready to come back to dancing, I just put 2 competitions that she missed from the previous plan into the new plan. She ended up doing anyway 10 competitions the year after, and it didn't affect my income. It didn't affect her expenses either, because she had just a monthly installment that was overall anyway a good deal. She didn't lose the competitions because I still give her those competitions on the next year season, and the monthly revenue was always the same. So if that happened under the condition where a normal teacher would, just sell the comp one by one, that's from that student, I would have had a gap of income for 3-4 months, whatever time she had to take to recover from what happened to her. So again, you do understand, I hope you do understand how this transition can become so crucial to make sure that your income is consistent and that your student is happy because she is going on a step-by-step kind of journey. Even this student that I was talking about, she was so grateful to me for that. She said, I'm so happy that you suggested this to me because, when she went through what she had to go through, it didn't feel like everything was lost. It didn't feel like everything was over. She knew that when she would come back, we would restart exactly from where we left. She felt that she wouldn't step backwards, and she was grateful because it was just very easy to get back into it. So doing this is not only for yourself, is not only for your business, is also to provide a better service to your people. And this is where I get very excited, because smart business, smart, honest, ethical business is always a win-win for the business owner as well for the clients. Now, the most important thing, again, to understand is the identity shift that this creates into you. So the moment you start implementing this, you stop being a dance instructor and you become a program designer. You become a real professional figure. High-level clients don't buy sessions. High-level clients don't buy a single competition. They buy the journey. They buy the structure. They buy the guidance. And that's extremely important to remember. And if you're ready to stop rebuilding your income every month and you are tired of have to every time convince your student to show up, to come for the competition, to do this, to do that, and you want to start creating a pro-am business that pays you consistently or year long, I invite you to book a free Dancepreneur breakthrough session with me. You find the link below. And we will look at your current setup. We'll look at your situation. We will look at your relationship with your client. And I will teach you how to implement this in your business. If you have anything else that is concerning you about your business, there will be time to discuss that as well. So the link is right below in this video. Feel free to access that. Now, again, the problem is not your student. The problem is the way the business is structured and the way you communicate the journey to your students. Fix the structure, fix the communication, and everything else will just follow. I hope that served you, and I wish you a great rest of your evening. Bye, guys.